Tom Emmer, it's encouraging to see private companies like DoorDash step up to help Americans impacted by the Democrat government shutdown. But this is only a Band-Aid solution. To truly address the food emergency facing millions of Americans, Democrats need to pass the Clean CR today. So I'm going to start getting into the SNAP benefits potential crisis that may be happening in just a few days. And this is from DoorDash. The federal government shutdown threatens SNAP benefits for 40 million Americans this week. We're launching an emergency food response to help, delivering 1 million free meals through 300 plus food banks and waiving delivery and service fees for 300,000 grocery orders for SNAP recipients. It's a stopgap, not a solution, but help is needed now. Read more. So this is on about.doordash.com. We got the gist of it. Here, I'll read a couple of these bullet points. So delivering 1 million meals for free, supporting 300 Project Dash food bank partners nationwide in November. Also waiving delivery and service fees for 300,000 grocery orders. SNAP recipients at Sprouts, Dollar General, Schnucks, Ahold Delhaize, not familiar with them, Hy-Vee, Giant Eagle, and Wegmans at Sprouts. Dude, SNAP benefit holders should not be shopping at freaking Sprouts. It's one of those fancy organic stores, isn't it? Yeah, if you're on food stamps, it should be Walmart and then Aldi and then maybe back to Walmart. maybe Dollar General. I don't know. Maybe that one's fair. The federal government shutdown could halt supplemental nutrition assistance program benefits for more than 40 million Americans, including 21 million children, 16 million working families, and 5 million seniors. As federal funds run out, families face a growing risk of hunger, and food banks are already experiencing overwhelming demand they cannot meet on their own. So, yeah, it's going to get bad if this drags on long enough. I guess if there's any silver lining to it, it's that name brand foods might see a reduction in cost because, like if you're not getting food stamps and you have to fend for yourself, you're probably not going to be buying a whole bunch of fancy name brand stuff. You're just going to try to just get the very bare essentials. So this is from Steve Scalise. Senator Gallego says he's looking at everyone's personal pocketbook. What about the 42 million Americans losing SNAP and 7 million moms and babies losing access to WIC? The Schumer shutdown isn't about healthcare. It's about placating the radical left at the expense of families.
They want to tell you it's about healthcare. It's not. They really told you what it's about. It's about getting leverage, showing off to their radical Marxist socialist
and blaming the Republicans because they control Congress. Republicans control Congress.
The results of the November election. And in the meantime,
maybe that's why they keep saying our democracy, democracy. They just keep saying that over and over again. So then every person who votes Democrat, they just assume that the Senate is just a strict direct democracy. And because the Republicans, they have just a little bit of a majority in the Senate, that means that they're just running the show. That the Democrats couldn't have possibly shut down the government, even though we all learned about this shit in school, middle school, high school. We learned about how the basic functions of government happen. And I mean, it's just interesting how quickly people seem to forget.
Real families are struggling. Every day the number grows higher. Yesterday, Senator Gallego went on to meet the press. He was asked when Democrats would reopen the government. And he said, quote, "I'm not looking at a timetable. I'm looking at everyone's personal pocketbooks." Now, Senator Gallego, you ought to be looking at the pocketbooks of those single moms who right now are facing losing their WIC payments, facing losing their SNAP payments. And if Senator Gallego's not sure how many people that is, we've been told by the administration how many people will stand to lose real benefits, SNAP benefits, food stamps for kids. 42 million people will lose those benefits in just a few days. Senator Gallego, look at their pocketbooks. WIC, Women, Infants, and Children program, helps feed 7 million low-income moms and infants. Senator, go look at those pocketbooks. And who knows what your real motivation is. But I'll tell you what their motivation is. Their motivation is just to put food on their table for their kids.
And I wonder how many of these 42 million, well, there's a lot that are children, but the adults who are receiving SNAP benefits, how many of them use TikTok on a regular basis or Instagram or Facebook? Makes me wonder, what is the algorithm going to be feeding them over the next coming weeks with regard to Who really shut down the government? It was totally the Republicans because they control the House and the Senate and everything, even though it's absolutely the Democrats who clearly have done that because they need 5 Senate Democrats to get the government funded. It's just that simple. They're 5 short, and they need 5 Democrat senators. Or they could get Rand Paul to come back over to the other side and vote with Republicans, in which case they would need 4 Democrat senators. But either way, they need Democrat senators to get the government reopened. But I would be curious to know as to what the social media companies are going to be feeding people who are getting directly affected by the government shutdown. I have a feeling it's going to go one way and not the other. Anyway, Secretary Brooke Rollins, this is rich. Senator Schumer is still getting paid. Rep AOC is still getting paid. Yet 42 million Americans will go without food assistance starting this Saturday. This shameful Schumer shutdown has to end now. Pass the clean CR. Open the government now.
It's very rich
Fox News.
that those that are keeping the government shut down think that they have the power to make this happen under the guise of their radical left ideology and plans that no one in America thinks is a good idea. What I find also particularly rich that, by the way, the SNAP benefits are about to end on Saturday. We don't have the funding to cover them. Meanwhile, Chuck Schumer is still getting paid. AOC is still getting paid. The elected congressmen and women are still getting paid. Their security team's not getting paid. The Americans, the 42 million Americans who rely on
so
SNAP,
fucked up.
They're not going to get paid starting on Saturday.
Their security
This
details
is
not getting paid.
Incredible that we are at this point in American history and that these people are not opening the government. It's just remarkable.
I mean, yeah, like, how would you feel if you're working security for these members of Congress who are voting to keep the government shut down and you're not getting a paycheck, but they are? They're certainly getting paid. All right, Senator John Cornyn, thanks to Schumer shutdown, food banks brace for overwhelming demand as SNAP cutoff looms. This is on the New York Times. Food banks brace for overwhelming demand as SNAP cutoff looms. Uh-oh. Don't paywall me. I signed up for your freaking website, ass. Oh, wait, no, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was the Wall Street Journal or something. All right, whatever. Fuck the New York Times. Anyway, I'll just move on, but we already got the gist of it. Food banks in the U.S., they're overwhelmed currently. Well, at least they're preparing to get overwhelmed. But there are food banks that have already gotten overwhelmed, especially around military bases. They've seen lines longer than they've ever seen before because obviously the military's not... Well, I mean, they did get paid, I think, last pay period, but I'm not sure if they're going to get paid next pay period. I know they allocated some funds from the Pentagon's research and department wing, and they took a few $1 billion from that, and they were able to funnel it into military payroll, but I don't think that's really going to cover more than maybe 1 pay period or 2. It's certainly not going to be a long-term fix. Rapid Response 47, more than 40 million people are bracing to see their food assistance run out later this week, creating a food crisis some experts say could be the worst since the Great Depression, all because of the government shutdown. Open the government, Democrats. And again, what are people going to be fed by social media? Are they going to be fed the propaganda that because Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the presidency, it's their fault? Or are they going to tell the truth and say that it was the Democrats who refused to fund the government, ergo, it's shut down? Anyway, let's take a look at this from ABC.
This morning, more than 40 million people, that's roughly 1 in every 8 Americans, are bracing to see their food assistance run out later this week, creating a food crisis some experts say could be the worst since the Great Depression, all because of the government shutdown. The U.S. Agriculture Department, which administers the SNAP or Food Snap program, announcing, quote, the well has run dry.
Everyone's worried that, they're not going to be able to feed their families.
Yeah, and you know what? If you want a homework assignment, you can go over to Google AI and start asking it questions about the shutdown, like who's responsible for it, how many votes do we need from which party to open it. If you ask it just questions relating to that, you'll get really frustrated really quickly because Google clearly doesn't want to tell you that it's the Democrats' fault. They're jumping through so many hoops, the Google AI, to try to prevent itself from telling you who is actually directly responsible. And if you do ask it a direct enough question that it has to inform you that Democrats are responsible for it, it won't answer it. Instead, it'll just give you a bunch of search results, like from news articles or whatever. So you have to really press it to get it to answer anything. And yeah, it was a lot of frustrating fun to do that. So, but I did hear somebody talking about what what the major cities are going to do with a lot of people who are on SNAP benefits, they're just going to go into grocery stores and start looting them. I mean, I've heard that from a couple of different places, and I don't know. In some of these major cities, they've already locked up everything behind plexiglass because they've already experienced rampant looting. So it may not be as easy as they might think, at least not with some stores. Plus, you got places like Portland, Oregon, where they've already closed all the super Walmarts. There are no more Walmarts left in Portland because there was too much theft going on. All right, so House Republicans Senator Ossoff and Senator Warnock have repeatedly voted to cut off SNAP benefits for 1.4 million Georgians, including stroke survivors like Winalden. House Republicans did our job and passed a clean, nonpartisan funding bill to protect these benefits for vulnerable Americans. And that's the article. Fox 5 Atlanta, Georgia stroke survivor faces losing SNAP benefits amid the shutdown. And they're just illustrating that that this individual is just one of many, up to, well, what was that, 41 million Americans are set to lose their benefits. However, I haven't been on food stamps myself as an adult, so I don't know the inner workings of exactly how it works. But my understanding is that it's the state level that disperses the SNAP benefits to the individual, and the federal government provides funding for them to do so. So there may be some states who might be able to move funding around from one entity into the SNAP benefits program. So you might hear a few states that are going to be able to keep giving out food stamps to their residents, but some other states may not have that kind of funding, or they might just be plain evil, like in certain blue states, and they might just say, no, we can't do that. I mean, well, we could, but we're not going to tell anybody that we can. So we're just going to say that we just can't do that. All right, from the White House, over 40 million Americans face the risk of losing critical SNAP food benefits. This crisis could be resolved if Democrats prioritize the needs of the American people over political games. SNAP funding expiration set to hit 40 million people. Let's see if they got, I don't know if they did. No, they didn't link an article to that. Wait, what did I say? Name brand food is about to go down in price without millions splurging on the taxpayer's dime. Glass half full thought. I mean, I think that's going to happen. Like, I don't know, Coca-Cola or Doritos, things like that. Like, the prices could go down because they're about to get an incredibly huge supply of them. Because if they're not on food stamps, they're probably not going to be buying Doritos. They're going to be buying like rice and beans or whatever. All right, Rep. Vern Buchanan. Families living paycheck to paycheck are being hurt the most. SNAP and WIC benefits are running out, and America's children are the ones who will suffer. We need to reopen the government and deliver relief now. Democrats must come to the table and approve the House GOP's clean CR. I think that's the last. Yeah, that's the last SNAP benefits related post.
Okay. And the after effects right now with what we're dealing with, the furloughs, people are concerned about losing their SNAP benefits, WIC, Social Security. Where's that right now?
Yeah, people that are, at the, unfortunately, living paycheck to paycheck.
Social Security is not going to be affected. There's already money in place for Social Security. If she's talking about Social Security in any aspect, it's certain like employees who work for Social Security that are being furloughed, meaning that if you call the Social Security Administration and if you're calling about something specific, that department might not be open right now. But as far as Social Security benefits and your payout, that's covered for at least for now. But if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments.
Are the ones that really need the help and need the support, and especially with kids with the food and everything else. So we're doing everything we can to make this whole process, get it back in a position this week, ideally.
Okay. And
yeah, and if you want to help in any way, which I thought of this already, and I'm going to do that this week. I didn't have a chance to do it this weekend, but go through your pantry, go through your food stockpile, and don't be a dick and just grab all the expired shit. You actually get some stuff that you could do without and give it to your local food bank. Just go drop it off. Like, you could, I'm sure that they probably even have like bins and containers and whatever. You could just pull up and just hand it off and just go on about your day. So, I mean, all of us can do our part to try to keep America fed, and just go through your pantry, just grab some cans of whatever that you're not going to use and drop them off, man. Especially with Thanksgiving coming up. If you enjoyed the video, I hope you take a quick second to give it a like and subscribe to the channel. And check out The Swamp, which drops Monday through Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern, covering the daily happenings inside the federal machine. Thank you very much for watching.